Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day as always. Today I want to reflect on something that I watched the other day where someone was talking about the dangers of growing up in the middle class because of the financial lessons that you learn from it. And what I want to do today is pretty much just dissect what it is that I thought about pretty much finances and growing up in general. It doesn't necessarily pertain to the middle class, but it's something that everybody deals with, right? And their surroundings, their environments, and their mindset towards money growing up, it doesn't necessarily dictate how successful you're going to be in the future. But I can't help but assume that positive influences and lessons learned as a child translate to positive benefits for you in the future when it comes to finances. Likewise, negative surroundings or negative mindsets might lead to negative consequences about finances in your future. And as always, guys, this is a discussion. It's not saying that what I think is right. I'd always love to know what you think, so definitely make sure to comment down below. But the way I want to break this down is to break it up into 3 sections, right? This is kind of convenient because they're all starting with E, but I want to talk about expectations, education, and emulation. And obviously there are so many other factors that come into play when determining how financially successful you are. And honestly, we can all question what is financially successful, but either way, let's go ahead and dive right into the first one, and that is expectations. Okay, so right off the bat, when it comes to expectations, I want to say first off that I probably grew up your standard middle class life, right? And when it comes to my expectations of money growing up, I would say finances weren't really a part of our day-to-day conversation. But because we never really had a struggle for anything, like, we always had birthday presents and Christmas presents, and again, money wasn't a struggle, I would actually say that was a detriment to me because my expectations were that everything was always going to be fine, right? And there were probably times for my parents where finances weren't okay, right? And because I never was a part of that conversation, I had an unrealistic view of what finances and money is. Luckily, I avoided many of the pitfalls, but I can't help but assume that, if I were a larger part of the conversation when it comes to finances, I'd be better off because of it. Now, on the other hand, there's clearly going to be those that experience life differently when it comes to finances than I did growing up, right? You may have those that, they grew up and things definitely were a struggle. Money was tight, and I'd be concerned if they think that money's always going to be a struggle and finances will never really be there for them, that success is for the other people, right? I definitely would not want that to be a limiting mindset that they carry out through adulthood. And I personally want to say to anyone going through that, things are always temporary. You can work yourself out of whatever situation you want to achieve the lifestyle that you want. And keep in mind, those that have money don't necessarily live the best lifestyle, nor are they the happiest people on earth. So again, if you have low expectations of money, it's not to say that you'll never accumulate it, but I definitely don't want you to carry that mindset going forward because I definitely think it's a little bit detrimental to your financial future. But again, guys, this is just my opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think, if you think that your expectations of what finances were like growing up was similar to kind of what you've experienced now as an adult. Now on to the next one, let's talk about education. This is huge, obviously, right? And this is something that I think absolutely needs to be more a part of our day-to-day lives, right? For those of us growing up in families, likewise for those as adults, and especially those that have children of our own. It kind of seems cliche, but right, they always say, why don't we teach personal finance like in middle school and high school? And maybe that's changed a little bit today, but my assumption is that oftentimes it's because the adults don't know this stuff either. And I mainly say that, again, coming from someone who worked at a personal finance institution for almost a decade, right? You see that a lot of these skills aren't passed down from generation to generation. Again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but like I said earlier, talking about money was not anything that I experienced growing up. The one thing that I do remember that my dad always taught me from a young age was live within your means. And I think that the basic principles of personal finance and responsibility on that forefront will take you a very long way, right? There's everything that we need to learn about, from interest rates and credit scores and how to save money, how to plan for retirement, emergency funds, right? All of this stuff isn't that complicated, but I'd be surprised if the majority of U.S. households talked about this stuff and taught this stuff to their children. Not only that, but if you think about it, right, this stuff kind of compounds from one generation to another, right? If you have a family that is struggling with their finances and their children, they grow up in that environment and they don't necessarily learn the financial skills that they need to for when they become adults, right? More than likely, that's just going to be another issue for them as well because they didn't receive the information that they needed to know. Whereas if you take, let's say, a wealthy family who's already, let's say, got a head start prepared for their children, and they do everything they can to teach them about finances and money, right? Their kids are just going to compound their benefits, right? So this stuff is so important, and that's why I think that financial education and money should not be a taboo thing at all, right? We should all be willing to have this discussion. That's kind of why I created this channel, and I hope it provides some sort of value to you guys. But either way, education plays a huge role in our finances, and the more we know, the better our situation is going to be. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about is emulation, right? A lot of us have heard the phrase that, right, you ultimately become those who you surround yourself with. Okay, well, I think this stands true to how we view our finances as well, right? If you come up from a household where, you go on a vacation every year, mom, dad have a new car this often, they're always going out buying clothes, right? If it's from a consumeristic and spending standpoint, you're more than likely going to have to combat those habits later on in life, right? And I actually do view that as a negative thing. I'm not saying spending money is bad, right? But if it's always about spending money and purchasing and buying things, I think that's setting yourself up for kind of a potential pitfall in the future, right? Now, on the other hand, I would say those that grow up through financial hardships, right, if they have to learn to pinch pennies and make their dollars count, be as efficient and resourceful as possible, I actually think that's potentially a good thing for later on down the road, because if you do, get that job that pays you a decent wage, you amass a certain level of finances that make your life comfortable, you don't necessarily need all that other stuff to make you happy, right? You are able to have, I would honestly think, more financial discipline because of the upbringing that you had, right? So emulation, do you emulate those around you? Personally, I grew up in a family where, again, nothing was ever a struggle, but we didn't live a lavish life whatsoever. While we weren't totally frugal, right, we definitely lived a fairly conservative life. And I appreciate that because growing up, I never really expected or felt the need to spend a whole lot to maintain a certain level of happiness or, status, right? So that's something that I appreciate from my family for kind of passing on to me. But again, I'm always curious to know what you guys do and what you guys think about this. And I would say this goes doubly for parents. While I don't have a child yet, think about what it is that your kids are kind of envisioning for their own future based off the way you act. Like, think of all the information that your kids absorb from you on a day-to-day basis. And I wonder that if you think that, okay, my kids may ultimately behave and handle their finances in a similar way that I show that I handle mine, would that change the way you live your current lifestyle, right? Would you change your spending habits in order to benefit them in the long run, right? I'm curious to know what you guys think. But all in all, those are the 3 E's that I wanted to talk about. Again, there's clearly so much more that dictates why someone is financially successful or why they may struggle financially. Again, this is always a conversation, so let me know what you think down below. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. You know what to do. But take care, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, I know I just said this stuff, but let me say it again. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate all the support that you guys give me. And to support you, here's 2 more videos that I've made in the past in case you haven't seen them. Don't forget to share these with your friends and family so we can help all the people achieve their financial goals. Likewise, if there's anything that you would want to see made that you haven't seen thus far, definitely don't hesitate to let me know. But thanks again, take care, and have a good day.